When I heard that Viceland or Vice TV was going to do an episode for the Dark Side of the Ring series revolving around the death of Owen Hart, I kind of figured beforehand this was going to be rough. This was going to be one of those episodes. I knew the Chris Benoit episode was going to be rough. I knew the New Jack episode was going to be crazy. And I knew the Owen Hart episode was going to be bonkers. And I already planned to do a review on all of those episodes. I didn't do a review on New Jack. I might have to go back and talk about that one at a later date. But there's no way I was going to skip out on Owen Hart. So I did watch it. And look, if you are a fan of Owen, if you know anything about the life and legacy of Owen Hart, this is something you need to watch. You didn't need me to tell you that. You knew way beforehand you had to watch this. It was hard. It was one of those things where even though knowing what had happened, and I wasn't someone that lived through it. Yes, I came in to wrestling around that time, around 1998, but I was a child. Like, I was, 8 years old? Yeah, I just started watching wrestling. I didn't know what the hell was going on. It didn't really hit me as hard as it did to other fans who have been watching a lot longer than me. But if you have been a fan of Owen Hart for such a long time, you knew the moment you saw this episode on the lineup, okay, I'm going to have to brace myself. With that said, as time went on and I got more and more into wrestling, I became more invested in the sport and the workings and the people who made wrestling great. I became a fan of Owen Hart. It's hard to not be a fan of Owen Hart at the same time be a wrestling fan, a fan of wrestling. If you love wrestling, you love Owen Hart. He is one of the greatest of all time. Period. If you make a top 50 list and Owen Hart is not on there, I'm not going to take it seriously. He needs to be on there. And I thought they did an excellent job highlighting his... For what they had, I feel like they could have done maybe one more episode. This could have been a two-parter, really. But for what they had, they did a really awesome job highlighting his career, how much he meant to the business, and discussing the controversy of Martha versus WWE, that whole lawsuit. And then we're going to get into all the craziness, trust me. Because I have a lot to say about this. I don't have any notes. I usually have a script for this kind of stuff. I don't. This is strictly off the top of my head. So we're just going to go based off of what I remember. And then, of course, I will leave it to you, the fans who are watching me, to give me your thoughts down below in the comments. Also, do me a favor. Like the video, subscribe, click that bell to catch all my content when it comes out. And if you want to help expand the brand, you can do the following. Buy the t-shirt or t-shirts at Pro Wrestling Tees and Teespring. We got the old school The X-Man t-shirt and, of course, the new school Alyx's World t-shirts. Also, like me on Facebook. Follow me on Twitter, VX1. Alyx's World. I have an Instagram. Check that out. I have an email. Just Alyx's World. gmail.com. I have a subreddit. Check that out. And you can donate using PayPal, Patreon, and yes, Super Chats are officially on. All Super Chats will be played during the podcast. And just so you guys know, I am doing this live at midnight. It is midnight during my time. For me, it's Central Time, so it's midnight. So if you're watching this sometime in the future, this is when everyone is supposed to be asleep, but it is quarantine time, so most likely not a lot of people are asleep anyways. So I'm not expecting a big audience, but let's see who's in the live chat. When I'm done, I will be going to the live chat to get the opinions of others. We do have a pretty hefty audience for a midnight. I mean, how many people are in this thing? All right, it's a little bit under 100. That's not bad, actually. I actually expected this to be a little bit less than that. Hello to Elias Ademi and Firestar Heart, the moderators. We also got Oh Yeah, Mr. Krabs, Adam Ritter, Ethan Parker, Lazy Cheese, Michael, just Michael, Aaron Sherwood, Sue Hines, Seth Rollins fan. I wonder who your favorite wrestler is. Jonathan Ayala. True Fire 901, Godzilla Hawk, Janelle Jackson, Andy Rojas. Is it Astrothy? Astrothy. Close enough. Chris Benoit is a legend. Oh boy, here we go. And then let's do Stephen Lewis. All right, thank you all. And Juan Extreme. Thank you all for joining me. I hope you enjoy the podcast, even though it's late. And I'm gonna try to keep it organized. It won't be. It's gonna be all over the place because I don't have a script. But I could not go to bed without giving my thoughts on this. So let's get to it. Let's get right to it. The documentary, the season finale of Dark Side of the Ring. I love that they took the first the first segment to highlight how much of a performer and lover of the sport Owen was. He was excellent inside the ring. All this stuff that wrestlers get flack for being, spot monkeys and doing all the flips and kicks and the moonsaults and the 360s and the 630s and the 720s and the 1080s. I'm just kidding. But you get the idea. It's just the idea that, if you're doing moonsaults and flips and kicks, you can't be taken seriously as a wrestler. Owen Hart was doing it way before everyone else. It was Flying Brian Pillman and the Owen Harts that were doing it first here in the States. He was one of the first to do it. Go back and watch some of his matches. This man was doing some crazy acrobatics. Yeah, back in the 80s and 90s. He was doing it. Excellent wrestler from day one. And everyone knew it. Everyone knew Owen was an excellent wrestler. They talked about his feud with Owen Hart, himself. He fought himself. He's that good. His brother, Bret Hart, at WrestleMania 10, one of my favorite feuds in WWE, WWF history. Loved their match at WrestleMania. A classic. It opened the show and stole the show, honestly. And it's sad because as good as he was, he could talk, he could wrestle, he could play a character, he could be a heel, he could be a babyface. As good as he was, WWE didn't know what to do with him. He was not their star player. The star player was Bret Hart. Bret Hart was the one who was, selling the t-shirts. He was the one that was bringing people into the arenas, that was selling out arenas, that was the main event player. Rightfully so. Bret Hart is one of the greatest of all time. He is the best there is, the best there was, and perhaps the best there ever would be and will be. Yeah. He deserves that moniker. But Owen, in every aspect, was either just as good, if not better, than Bret. But, sometimes it's just kind of hard to get out of that rut. Not just with WWE, but wherever you are. You can be talented in whatever genre, whether it's music or boxing, and have all the tools to be someone big, but sometimes you just don't get a lot of opportunities to break out. And Owen he was missing that one opportunity, that one major opportunity to really just stamp his name. And there was a point in time, and sadly, it happened during the Attitude Era, the hottest period in wrestling. It was the point in time where Owen felt directionless. They couldn't figure out what to do with him. They didn't know what to do with Owen Hart. Owen Hart! They didn't know what to do with him. He was a great wrestler, but they wanted someone with a larger-than-life personality, which Owen had. It's just they wanted to fit it into a box. You can't fit Owen Hart into a box. You can't put a stamp or a label on Owen Hart. He's just Owen Hart. But that's not what they wanted. You know, during the age of the Godfathers and the Val Venuses and the NWOs and D-Generation X's, the Rocks, the Austins, everyone had something. And they wanted Owen Hart to have something. And he went through a lot of phases. You had Blackheart Owen. You had... Wasn't he with the Nation of Domination for a short period of time? They did everything they could with him. It just didn't stick. And so they just gave up and said, all right, go back to being that one gimmick you had in the past. The Blue Blazer. Uh-oh. This is when it all just went downhill because, look, before we even get to the tragedy, this was a slap in the face to Owen. This was not something that was supposed to get him over. It was supposed to make him a joke. Because once again, it's a guy that respects wrestling more than, you know, the sports entertainment aspect. And here's the thing about Owen Hart. He was always someone that never planned to live the rest of his life as a wrestler. He didn't love it as much as Bret. And that was clear to see. He loved his family more than wrestling. They talk about how I don't know if Bret did this, but Owen Hart would once in a while cancel dates. Before he was in WWE, he would literally cancel dates. Just spend time with his family. That's how much his family meant to him. That's crazy. In a good way. That's something that we don't see a lot when it comes to these wrestlers. It kind of feels like a majority of the wrestlers, not all of them, but a majority of them would put their jobs first. Owen? Nope. I'm just going to do this for a little bit longer, get to a point where I've made enough money to just not do it ever again. That was Owen's dream. But this Blue Blazer gimmick was such a slap to the face. They had him dropping down from the Raptors like a knockoff Sting, because that's what inspired it. They had him dropping down from the Raptors because it was making fun of Sting from WCW. Oh, we gotta take a shot at WCW. Pew, 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 pew. And have him fall from the Raptors. Why? Because it's what Sting did. There's no reason behind it. They just did it. And so at first they were very hokey with it. It looked stupid. It looked ridiculous. He looked ridiculous. He looked like a joke. And he was a joke. And then one day, during Over the Edge, the pay-per-view, they just decided, you know what? We want to do one of those fast rig drops where they just drop him real fast. And then he takes off the harness and then he goes to work. Okay? They just wanted to do it. No reason to do it. They just wanted to. Completely pointless. See, this is where I start to side with Martha, but not too much. Because, again, like I was still in that mindset of it was an accident. It was a complete accident. Like, no one knew that harness was going to break or whatever contraption they had was going to be messed up. There's no way that this was predetermined. WWE did not set this up so Owen could die. That's something we don't need to be talking about. Okay? WWE did not kill Owen Hart. That goes without saying. They didn't kill Owen Hart. This was an accident. Now, is this an accident that could have been prevented? That's a different argument. But let's get something straight. It was an accident. WWE didn't kill Owen Hart on purpose. Just want to put that out there. With that said, though, they start getting into Owen Hart's death. And they talk about him falling from the rafters, and every account from Jim Ross to Godfather to the referee, forgot his name, don't ask me what his name is, but to everyone's recounting of the situation of when it happened, it's just heartbreaking, man. A guy fell from the rafters, crashed into the ring, and died. In front of thousands of people. That is traumatizing. The guy, based off of what they said, Owen Hart was blue in the face the moment he hit. He was done. And Jim Cornette, who was also on the episode, for the first time, I've never seen him do this, for the first time, broke down and cried. I have never seen someone like Jim Cornette cry. Because he managed Owen Hart in his younger days. He broke down in tears talking about Owen's death. It was hard, man. It was hard. And then the one that really got me was when Martha talked about Owen's death. When she got the call from Vince McMahon, who told her that he died. And just hearing her talk about how she just let out a straight up scream when the doctor announced him dead. And then she had to tell their children, she had to go and tell her children, who were still babies, that their daddy was dead. Oh my God, man. And then you go from that to something that really pissed me off. And I mean, like, legitimately pissed me off. We go from that to Jim Ross, who's talking about hearing the news over a headset from Kevin Dunn. And this is what Kevin Dunn said to Jim Ross. Because Jim Ross asked him, yo, any updates on Owen Hart? Here's what Kevin Dunn said. Oh yeah, he's dead. You're back on in 10, 9... Fuck him. I never liked that son of a bitch anyways, but fuck him. How dare you? I don't give a damn. I don't give a damn how much money he makes. That is just heartless. Let me just say this. I don't care how much trouble I get. Because we all know goddamn well, if that was anybody else, if it was Bret Hart, if it was Shawn Michaels, if it was Stone Cold Steve Austin who came down from the goddamn Raptors, probably would not even happen, first off. Wouldn't have even happened. You want to know why it wouldn't have happened? Because Vince McMahon would have done it first. Vince McMahon took the skyline, took the WrestleMania 12 entrance, skyline that Shawn Michaels rode. He did that first. He did it before Shawn did because he wanted to make sure it was safe for Shawn. I don't hear a story at all about Vince McMahon taking that Raptor drop, that rig Raptor drop like Sting. I don't think he's ever done it before. Ever. You want to know why he's never done it before? Because it's a stupid idea. But, oh yeah, Owen can do it. Because he's a mid-carder. That's why this pisses me off. Because Kevin Dunn, this idiot, this man, he looks at people like Owen Hart and goes, he's not making us money. He's nobody important. He's not a Bret Hart. He's not a main event player. Screw him. He's nobody important. Oh yeah, he's dead. You're on in 10, 9, what? This once and for all just sold it for me. He can go straight to hell. He can go straight to the lowest depths of hell and burn. And he never apologized for it. I don't recall at any point in time him apologizing for it. So yeah, screw Kevin Dunn. I don't even feel like making fun of him right now. I am that pissed off at Kevin Dunn. His production sucks anyways. Oh, then we get into some real crazy shit. I'm coming up to Vince soon, don't worry. I'm coming up to Vince. So they talk about Martha's lawsuit against WWE, and how he got started was, Martha didn't feel right. She's like, I can't move on unless I know the full story. I want to get a walkthrough. I want to walk through that entire day of Owen. I want to go up to the Raptor where he was dropped in the exact same arena. I want you to take me through all the plans. I want you to show me the equipment that he was dropped with, how he was dropped, how fast he was dropped. Did you rehearse it? How did Owen feel about it? She wanted to know all of it. And getting these details, you just get more and more ashamed of WWE and Vince McMahon. Because the first thing we hear is that Owen Hart didn't feel right doing it. Owen was scared of heights. And before they even did it, he was like, I don't know if I should be doing this. He didn't feel right. He didn't feel right. He didn't want to do it. And then you go up to the Raptor, and it was this very small, narrow pathway right above, like I don't know, like, it's in a freaking Raptor, so, like, I'm gonna assume hundreds of feet above the goddamn ring. It's up there. It's high. Too high. And then he has to drop from there at a fast pace. Like that. Not rehearsed. Because apparently, hey, I can't fault this in WWE, because apparently Owen Hart said, nah, I'm good. Here's what WWE should have done. No, we're not good. Get your ass up there. We're going to rehearse. They should have been rehearsed this. I'm sorry, y'all. Give me a second. Shut up. I'm doing something right now. Get your ass up there. We're going to rehearse it. They should have put their goddamn foot down and made him go rehearse it. You don't just do something like that. Or if you're not going to have him rehearse, have Vince McMahon do it first. What's all this talk about? Vince McMahon isn't going to ask the wrestlers to do something he won't do. I don't remember Vince McMahon ever dropping down from the Raptors. For real, has there ever been a time where Vince has done that Sting drop from the Raptors? Not one time. Not one time. So Vince didn't rehearse it. Owen didn't rehearse it. There was no way to foolproof, to really make sure this was safe. And then we get more details on the situation. We're told that Vince didn't hire professionals. People who knew about rigging and dropping people from Raptors. Yeah, $1 million company run by a billionaire couldn't afford to get people who are trained to do this kind of stuff, professionals. They got some guy who didn't know what he was doing. And when you look at the equipment that Owen wore, this just sent me over the edge. One of the hooks, I'm sorry, give me a second, guys. That was my... this thing's falling apart. I think we're good. We're good. All right. One of the hooks that was supposed to help lower Owen down to the ring was one of these hooks. I forgot what it was called, but apparently it was a hook that could only handle a certain amount of weight. And after a certain capacity, it instantly drops. It wasn't a full safe hook. It was a hook that was meant for a certain amount of mass, and apparently Owen was too heavy for it. What the hell? How negligent can you be? And you hear all this stuff and you're just like, what? Yeah, I would be pissed off too. Because first off, no one asked you. No one wanted to see Owen Hart drop from the goddamn Raptors to begin with. You wanted that. Vince Russo and Vince McMahon just for some reason said, we're going to drop them from the Raptors because it reminds them of Sting. So they did that. And then they had a safe way of doing it. And then they said, we're bored of that. Let's try something dangerous. Without testing it first. And then they hired some guy who didn't know what he was doing. Because they're cheap. And then he created some makeshift rigging drop that was not safe. With an Owen Hart who was already scared to do it to begin with. And so when Martha found out about this, she's like, yeah, screw all this. I'm going to sue you for negligence. As she should have. Because it was negligence. Extremely negligible. I can speak English. Because you know damn well, again, if it was Shawn Michaels, he would have tested it out first. Or Shawn Michaels would have said, I'm not doing it. So she decides to sue WWE. Rightfully so. And you know what Vince McMahon does as a response? Instead of just being the, professional businessman that he claims he is, instead of just paying her off, here, look, I apologize. We take full responsibility for what happened to Owen. You can hate us for the rest of your life. We will take care of you and your family because we are responsible. Right? Okay, we'll just pay you the $12 million, and they did pay her the $12 million, but trust me, it came from a different way. Instead of just doing the right thing and just paying her off, he sued her back. Vince McMahon sued the widow of Owen Hart back. Literally every little good thing he did, every act of goodwill he did before then, and apparently they did a tribute to Owen Hart and all that kind of stuff. I didn't see the show, but I'm pretty sure it was good. Him calling Martha, probably, giving her his condolences and all that kind of stuff. Every single act of goodwill he did just went out the window the moment he went and sued her. Sued her back. And Martha won. She came out with $12 million. And now what? WWE expects to just get Owen Hart for that? See, after hearing this story, more than ever now, this WWE Hall of Fame can go straight to hell. Because, no. You don't get to honor Owen's legacy now. Do I think WWE intentionally planned to kill Owen Hart? No. It was an accident. But it really was an accident that could have been prevented. You could have prevented this. You didn't need to drop Owen from the rafters. Owen Hart should be alive today. End of story. Owen Hart should be alive. This isn't an Eddie Guerrero situation. This isn't Chris Benoit, where they, years of drugs and drug abuse that led to Eddie's death. Chris Benoit, homicide, suicide, completely out of control. Out of the control of WWE. They had no control over those deaths. They was in full control of what happened to Owen Hart. They're the ones that planned to drop them from the Raptors. They're the ones that didn't test out the rigging drop, the rig. They're the ones that hired someone who didn't know what he was doing. They're the ones who couldn't find out anything else to do with Owen Hart. They share the blame. Some of the blame. They do. So, when I hear Martha say, I'm not going to let a company that is responsible for the death of my husband honor and celebrate his legacy, I go, you know what? You are absolutely right. I completely agree with you, and they don't deserve it. That Hall of Fame goes straight to hell for all I care. I respect all the wrestlers and the legends that have gotten their rings. But no, you do not deserve to honor the death of Owen and honor his legacy. You don't. You've lost that right. And to me, as far as I'm concerned, we can just let a different company honor Owen Hart. Every other company is free game. Matter of fact, Martha, there's another company out there called AEW. I guarantee you, if you call up Tony Khan, if you call up, well, you know a friend, you know Chris Jericho. You call up Chris Jericho, call up Cody Rhodes, and ask them to do a tribute show to Owen Hart. They'll do it. They'll do it. Because I do think we need to honor his legacy somehow. And I know she created the Owen Hart Foundation, which is great. Like, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful thing to do. But he's a wrestler. He needs to be honored for his wrestling career. You don't have to let WWE do it. We can toss that out the window. WWE can go straight to hell. Sorry. When it comes to Owen Hart, straight to hell. After this documentary. But with AEW, why not? Why not? If New Japan Pro Wrestling wants to do it, why not? Let his legacy be honored in more ways than just the WWE Hall of Fame. Because he needs to be honored. He needs to be remembered. He needs to be etched in the annals of history. Because that's what he would want. That's what he would want. All those blood, sweat, and tears that he left in the ring for decades. Let's not let that go to waste. Okay? If WWE is not going to do it, and they shouldn't, let a different wrestling company do it. But yeah, that's... Oh man, that was a rough one. That was a rough episode to watch, and I cannot believe the revelations that came about. I cannot fathom how anyone would ever want WWE to honor Owen Hart after what happened. Have they ever just come out and just taken responsibility, by the way? Because they should. Has WWE just ever just came out and said, yeah, we screwed up there, sorry. Yeah, we'll take responsibility for that. Or are they just chalking it up to a freak accident? We're not responsible. Because again, like, if it was Bret Hart or an Austin or Shawn Michaels or any of the legends, I guarantee you, they would have done everything in their power to right their wrongs. But because it was a mid-carder who wasn't really into the sports entertainment aspect, he was more of a wrestler, he wasn't drawing like a Bret Hart or an Austin, and was a nobody. He was such a nobody that Kevin Dunn can go, oh yeah, he's dead, on with the show. If it was anybody else, first off, they would have stopped the show. Over the Edge would have been stopped. Because how the hell would you... Who makes the wrestlers go out there and still wrestle after someone died? The guy's blood was still on the goddamn ring mat. They showed photos of his blood being on the ring mat when he fell throughout the entire show. Who does that? But that's how irrelevant he was to them. He wasn't that important to them. But let that be a legend. Oh, that show would have been stopped. That's it. Show over. This isn't right. Like, WWE doesn't look good. Like, out of all the documentaries that we've gotten this season, the Chris Benoit, the New Jack, the Road Warriors, David Schultz, all the ones that we've gotten, all excellent episodes, by the way. This is the one that leaves a black mark on WWE. This is the one that makes me go, wow, yeah, screw that company for that. Screw you for that one. Jesus. But yeah, that's my thoughts that is my candid thoughts on the season finale. Uh, as for the Dark Side of the Ring series, can't wait for season 3. Don't know how you're going to top season 2. I think it's going to be impossible. You got some big shoes to fill. This season was ridiculous.